please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Slipping for the markets, as Nigel was pointing out, pretty close to that 11,000 mark, and that sharp knock has come through in the last 10 minutes. Let's shift our focus then to the entire telecom space. Yesterday, the Union Cabinet approved the new telecom policy, which is the National Digital Communications Policy 2018, which aims to create 4 million jobs, draw in a whopping $100 billion by way of investments into the entire telecom sector by 2022. Aruna Sundararajan, the Telecom Secretary, joins us on the show now to discuss this and more. Ms. Sundararajan, thank you very much for taking the time out and speaking to CNBC-TV18. First, let me start by asking you about yesterday's Supreme Court verdict on Aadhaar. Do you think there will be a slowdown in subscriber addition due to the verdict of disallowing Aadhaar linkage for mobile connections to telcos? Because basically eKYC now becomes a problem, and that will need to be tweaked.
Well, we'll actually have to see what the exact implications of the Aadhaar judgment would be on the whole process of eKYC using the Aadhaar. Prima facie, it appears that the court has held that it is not possible. We will have to get legal opinion on what exactly is possible and what is not possible. So we will be doing that, and then we will have to sit down with the telcos to see that it is easy for the citizen to get onboarded for a mobile SIM. But at the same time, we will have to ensure that we are strictly in accordance with what the Supreme Court has said. Prima facie, I do not anticipate that this will have, too much of an impact, hopefully. But we'll have to study the exact implications.
Well, ma'am, given the shape of the industry, how do you envisage attracting investments worth over $100 billion in the digital communication sector by 2022? And also, have you received any commitment as yet?
See, the policy is a directional statement. It also indicates what is the broad vision of the government and what is the policy roadmap to achieving those objectives. When we were drawing up the policy, we had a choice. We could either proceed on a business as usual roadmap, in which case the sector would have attracted the normal share of investment. But that would have meant that every Indian getting the true benefits of broadband, every grassroots institution in India getting the benefit of broadband, that would get delayed. Secondly, all these new technologies that are coming in at a very fast pace, like 5G, IoT, etc., India wouldn't be able to harness the true benefits of that. So the policy actually weighed the other option and said we must go on an aggressive investment oriented policy because India needs $100 billion of investment. Now, the point is that people will invest only looking at the return on investment in the medium to longer term. It will not be the immediate state of play in the market that people will look at, but investors are in it for the long term. What is happening now is that there are some fundamental shifts happening in the digital communications space. One, the backbone of infrastructure is shifting from physical to digital. As you heard the TRI chairman yesterday, digital communications is no longer vertical, it's becoming a kind of horizontal platform, an ubiquitous fabric which will carry the various kinds of new data-driven services and goods.
Okay. Ma'am, the policy also says that in order to attract investment, the government will review levies and fees payable by telcos, which includes the license fee, the Universal Service Obligation Fund, fund fee, the USOF levy. And it will, apart from that, it will also look at rationalization of the spectrum usage charge. So if you could tell us, by when is the government looking to review these charges?
We remain committed to what we have said in the policy, and we will initiate the process of review and rationalization at the earliest.
Well, ma'am, so do you see rationalization taking place in FY19 itself?
Yes.
Okay, then what's the direction it's likely to take, and do you think levies and fees will be lowered?
See, the government will have to look at two things. One, we'll have to ensure that the sector is stable. Second, we will also have to see how the growth of the telecom sector actually triggers growth in a wider range of areas. And based on that, we will have to look at what is an appropriate level of levies and tariffs.
All right, Ms. Sundararajan, just hold on to that thought. We're getting some source-based information, I think, that's coming in there. The RBI had earlier called for a meet with ILNFS shareholders on September 28th. And I think there's an update that's coming in on that front. Now, sources are telling us that the RBI calls off the meeting with ILNFS shareholders ahead of the company's AGM. Now, that's not going to be good news. Over this weekend, that was the news that the street was quite, excited about, that yes, the RBI, there are some measures that are being taken in there. We have positive commentary coming in from the RBI as well as SEBI. And now if that's called off, then it's not good news. So let alone the ILNFS group, it's not good in terms of sentiment for the market on the whole. The market was banking on some sort of resolution coming out of there. And that clearly is not very, very good news. We'll try to get in some more details on that front. But let's do one thing. We'll slip into a short break. You come back. We'll continue our conversation with Mrs. Sundararajan. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're still in conversation with Ms. Aruna Sundararajan, the Telecom Secretary, who was talking to us just before we went into that break. Well, ma'am, you expected the industry to return to growth by early next year. And what is the what is this predicated on, and what kind of improvement you're expecting in pricing?
You see, what had happened is that India had a market with a large number of players. In the last year, we saw several very important consolidations happening. Idea-Voda merger, which is one of the biggest, happened. Ticona and Telenor merging with Bharti Airtel has happened. So what I think we are seeing is probably the final phase of consolidation and stabilization. So when I said that from early next year, we do expect the sector to return to its normal growth path, the thinking is that by in a few months' time, that once all these consolidations are completed and the market structure returns to a more stable kind of structure, then I think we will also see, business models not competing only on tariffs, but competing on, differentiated services and differentiated experiences for the customer. So I think that is when growth will really begin in a true sense.
Okay, by the way, for the markets, it's slipping very rapidly. So that 11,000 mark is gone on the Nifty. The mid-cap index is down nearly 1.5%. We need to address the markets very quickly. Just, Ms. Sundararajan, if you could just squeeze in one more question. On MTNL and BSNL, both are loss-making. There are reports that, the government will look at a financial package. The numbers being spoken about are close to about 30,000 crore rupees. If you could just walk us through the government's roadmap for revival for these companies.
See, the game plan of the government is that for both BSNL and MTNL, there are several new segments of opportunities opening up. One is, broadband to the home and broadband to businesses. This is a segment which has just opened up, as you know, FTTH. The big players have already, started doing this aggressively. We believe that both MTNL and BSNL have advantages in this. Second, both companies are crying out for 4G spectrum. So the effort will be to see that they get the 4G spectrum, otherwise they really cannot compete effectively. Thirdly, the objective would be to see how to bring down the debt burden on these companies, for which a number of options are on the table. And we will look at those. Those include monetization of available land, bringing down the interest burden on the companies, certain dues which they owe to the government. So all of these will be looked at.
Okay, Ms. Sundararajan, thank you very much for your time. For now, we need to go back to the markets and address the news that IL&FS has called off its meeting with its shareholders, which include an LIC, an HDFC and SBI, which is scheduled to be held tomorrow ahead of the AGM on the 29th. That is a CNBC-TV18 exclusive that RBI has called off its meeting with the IL&FS shareholders. Ritu Singh with the details. Ritu, any reason that you picked up why RBI has called off this very crucial meeting?
Well, Reema, as of now, we have not been able to ascertain exactly why the Reserve Bank of India has done this. But yes, the shareholders have been informed by the regulator that the meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow with all of the shareholders ahead of IL&FS's AGM that is scheduled on Saturday, meeting has been called off. Remember, this meeting was called, by the Reserve Bank of India for a bailout of IL&FS, really to discuss capital infusion plans for the company ahead of its annual general meeting. Now, we do understand that, LIC, RDI, SBI, HDFC, by the way, are the largest shareholders. What we know so far is that the AGM, the company has said, the board has approved plans of raising around 3,500 crore rupees in loans from State Bank of India and another 4,500 crore rupees by issuing fresh equity to LIC. So while these plans have been approved by the board, the investment committees of these respective banks are yet to clear the proposal. So the Saturday AGM is very crucial to see, what comes in terms of, any other, rescue plans from the company, what the shareholders say about this. But, RBI, it seems, does not want to get involved at this point of time. The FM has already held meetings with the shareholders, with IL&FS, with LIC, and we heard the chairman come out and say that they will not let the company sink, but that, that is where the matters end. Reserve Bank of India at this point of time, will not be meeting the shareholders.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Ritu. Well, the market's not taken it very kindly at all. Intraday, we've breached the 11,000 odd mark. Now we're just managing to hold on to that particular level. The Nifty Bank, by the way, is down 250 points. That was doing a relative underperformance and is doing a relative underperformance as we speak. Let's slip into a short break. Come back.
Just look at the way stocks are collapsing in the broader market. Shrey is down 16% now. And Edelweiss Financial has slipped close to about 9.5–10%. GM Financial is down about 7%. Even real estate stocks are not getting spared. So NBFCs, housing finance companies, in particular real estate across the board, are getting hammered quite a bit.
Yeah, let's do one thing. As promised, we'll slip in a short break, come back, and we'll shift focus to the commodity segment. Stay with us.
Welcome back. As promised, let's get you a few commodity trades. Dharmesh Bhatia of Emirates NBD joins in with a few of his trading strategies. Dharmesh, afternoon. First, walk us through your trading call of selling gold as well as December silver contracts.
Good afternoon. For short term, I'm expecting the bullion pack to show some kind of weakness. Internationally, it's already holding below $1,200, and with the rate of interest rate hike and expected to be in December and 4 in 2018 and 1 in 2019, and with rare rates and U.S. Treasury yield holding about 3.5, 3.10, you can expect the yellow metal should show some kind of weakness. I'm not so bullish. I'm expecting the market to hold further down, and you can see with equity market in U.S. will keep on rising, and with interest rate hike, I don't think so that gold will outperform any asset classes. So for short momentum, internationally it's still weak, in domestic market because of rupee depreciating, the fall is not so in that content, but yes, I'm still expecting the gold to correct further from the current level also.
And the reason for your sell call on the December copper contract?
Base metal has been outperforming for past few years, but if you have noticed this trade war, especially in the month of September, the whole market has corrected in COMEX from almost 330 to 260. In domestic market also, it has not performing that well. I don't think so that the market will show some kind of firmness, and with international market not in tandem with the growth strategy which is seen in the Southeast Asia and China, I don't think so that base metal will perform. In Indian market, the volatility is still intact. You can expect the copper to head towards around 448 to 445. And if rupee stabilize around 70 to 10, then you can see this fall to correct to 420 also. The broad range is between 410 to 460 in domestic market, but internationally in COMEX, I'm expecting the price to trade between 260 to 290.
Dharmesh, run out of time. Thank you very much for joining in. For the market, slipping as we speak. Now it's 200 points gone in the Sensex. The mid-cap index is down 1.5%. In the frontline space, it's financials which are getting hit. So Yes Bank and Axis Bank too has taken a sharp knock, and in NBFCs continue to get pounded in the broader markets. We'll get into a break, but on the other side, we've got Business Lunch, which will take the market action forward. Stay tuned.